You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Take our guns, burning up our flag, playing shitty country music, and they forgot about the hag. Well, don't you think it's time we all got downright mad? Let's take our country back. Well, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And that's just what'll happen if you rob me to get a fix. No, I ain't messing around. I got no problem putting shitheads down. Let's take our country back.
Today's show is sponsored by Farmer Joe's Fresh Market, located at 1401 Southwest Pine Island Road in beautiful Cape Cool, Florida. Forward everything we prepared for our Thanksgiving dinner came from Farmer Joe's, and I'm just going to tell you, the Plainville all-natural turkey is absolutely the best flavored bird I have ever tasted. Hands down, Farmer Joe's Fresh Market. Everything you need and more. Lee County's greatest grocery store. Check out Farmer Joe's. Attorney, businessman, political analyst, multimedia commentator, and one of the most knowledgeable political minds in our area, Mr. Ford O'Connell, is here to help us understand what the fake news doesn't want you to know. I am Smoking Joe, and welcome to Cracker Culture. Ford, what can you tell us about the latest polls showing where Donald Trump is compared to DeSantis and Haley?
Well, the latest Harvard-Harris poll has Donald Trump at 68% in the Republican presidential primary. Ron DeSantis is only at 9%. So you're talking about a 59-point lead. And when it comes to Nikki Haley, it says she's at 7%. So Trump has a 61-point lead on her. Look, 59 on DeSantis, 61 on Nikki Haley nationally. I think it's safe to say that Donald Trump is the presumptive Republican presidential nominee in 2024. Now, we're going to have a contest coming up in January in Iowa. If he wins that, I think it's going to be all but over. And in Iowa, Donald Trump is leading DeSantis and Haley by 30 points. So Donald Trump's getting stronger. The rest of the field's getting weaker.
Well, I've painfully forced myself to watch the debate between DeSantis and Newsom. And if I was Hannity, I would have been embarrassed to moderate what seemed like amateur hour. They both look like clowns, in my opinion. I'm going to play a clip here of the takeaways, and we'll discuss.
The debate started with a jab from DeSantis, reminding everyone of the moment Californians won't forget, Newsom going to the French Laundry during COVID. He also brought props showing a poop map of San Francisco, while Governor Newsom defended California's gun safety measures and tax rates. One thing was clear, their ideologies couldn't be more different.
We're going to hear from the Republican governor of Florida, Democratic governor of the great state of California.
California Governor Gavin Newsom went toe-to-toe with his East Coast political foil, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
I thought this guy was running for president of the United States.
If you are running too. You just won't admit it.
Running for a third?
You just won't admit it. You will not admit it.
DeSantis is running for president. Newsom says he is not. So why debate?
I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record.
Moderated by conservative Fox News host Sean Hannity, the two state leaders defended their polar opposite policies and didn't pull punches. DeSantis putting the microscope on Los Angeles homelessness.
You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard.
According to Housing and Urban Development, Florida's homelessness rate fell by 45%, while California's went up 45%.
Gavin's buddy in Los Angeles, Gascon, he doesn't even prosecute. People are leaving California in droves because he has failed to stand up for public safety. That city has collapsed. That county's collapsed because he is not enforcing the law. So that's just the and here's the thing. This is what's happening.
Newsom defended California's efforts, citing more spending on the issue in the next fiscal year. The coastal leaders traded comparisons on state abortion laws.
Decided to sign a 6-week ban before women even know they're pregnant, Ron, before women can even access a doctor's appointment.
Also, taxes.
He taxes low-income workers more than we tax millionaires and billionaires in the state of California.
They would love nothing more than to get 4 more years to be able to take the California model nationally. That would be disastrous for working people.
Many moments looked like this.
Don't lie about it. He put the graphic up there. Don't lie about it.
Unnecessarily
you don't need to lie about it.
Because, Ron, relax. I can handle it. I'm used to bullying. You're nothing but a bully.
The immediate social media reaction being interesting, but ultimately futile.
So, Ford, look, that was the biggest clown show I ever seen in my life. I'm actually embarrassed Ron even took part in it.
Well, I'll tell you this, believe it or not, the numbers came in and 5 million people watched it. Compared to the last GOP presidential debate, it was about 7.5. So it actually had good viewership. Do I think it was great TV? Absolutely not. But I do think it was very, very instructive about what the Democrats plan to do with their 2024 presidential playbook. And that is basically facts don't matter. So they're going to lie with impunity. They are going to basically try to call the GOP opponent, in this case Trump, a bully or a racist, and they're going to try to score as many identity politics points as possible and hope that the independents who will decide this election have no clue what the facts are. I will just say this. Gavin Newsom is a snake oil salesman. We are lucky for 2 reasons. Joe Biden has created the inflation problem, which is the reason why he's going to lose in 2024. And we're lucky that the man basically looks like he's 100 years old. Because I'm going to tell you something, Republicans should be scared of Gavin Newsom.
I agree with that. Well, we got another debate upcoming in Alabama. Is there any chance that we'll see an improvement with the stage presence of these people who are looked on as leaders, or is it just going to be a continuing embarrassment to the American people?
Well, I don't know what it's going to accomplish given how far ahead Donald Trump is in the Republican primary polls. That said, I think the interesting battle is going to be between Nikki Haley and our governor, Ron DeSantis, for that very distant second place. I think what's going to be interesting here is News Nation, which is an up-and-coming national TV station. It's going to be broadcasting this from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, on December 6th. And what I find interesting are the 3 people that are picked to moderate this. One is a woman named Eliana Johnson with the Washington Free Beacon. I'm going to tell you, she's really big on policy. Here's a name from the past. He's also going to be a co-moderator, Megyn Kelly. She's going to be back in the fold. And then Elizabeth Vargas. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how the moderators do this. And this is what I do, so I'm going to be watching it. Do I think it's probably going to change the trajectory of the race? Absolutely not.
Well, I wanted to ask you about them expelling Santos, and I got a little clip I want to show before we discuss this.
On this vote, the yeas are 311, the nays are 114, with 2 recorded as present. 2/3 voting in the affirmative, the resolution is adopted, and a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. The clerk will notify the governor of the state of New York of the action of the House. Under Clause 5D of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House that in light of the expulsion of the gentleman from New York, Mr. Santos, the whole number of the House is now 434.
So, while I agree that we should never support individuals who don't have the ability to be truthful, does this pose a potential threat with the small majority Republicans currently maintain by losing Santos?
Well, now they're going to be down to a 3-person majority and potentially 2 because there's word on the street that former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy might be leaving before the end of the calendar year. But let me say something about this sort of Santos expulsion. Let me be clear. He is the 6th person in the history of the United States House of Representatives to be expelled. Let me tell you about the other 5. 3 were for siding with the Confederacy. Makes total sense. The other 2 were convicted in a court of law. Now, nobody's saying George Santos is a good person, but let me ask you this. You got Senator Menendez in the Senate who's basically being charged with doing favors for the Egyptian government in gold bars. Do you think the Democrats are going to expel him? Absolutely not. The precedent has been if you've been convicted in a court of law, you must be expelled. George Santos hasn't. George Santos said he was going to not run for re-election. I think the point was made. My problem with Republicans is, and again, I'm not defending George Santos. I'm saying Republicans need to have a backbone and stand up and say, if you're going to get rid of Santos, then you need to get rid of Ilhan Omar for marrying her brother. You need to get rid of Adam Schiff for pushing the Russia hoax. If you're going to have accountability, let's have accountability, because half of Congress wouldn't be there because I know they're crooks.
And they just charged the guy that pulled the fire extinguisher.
Jamal Obama, exactly. He actually intentionally lied about disrupting an official proceeding of Congress. And what's he get? A slap on the hand. Why? Because he's a Democrat.
It's just a shame. Well, the terrorist group Hamas has violated the ceasefire agreement. I want you to look at this report from Israel here.
This is day 56 in the Israel-Hamas war, and the ceasefire is over. The IDF is resuming its offensive against Hamas terror elements inside the north and south Gaza Strip. I'm Yair Pinto, reporting to you from Israel. The fighting continues in full force throughout the Gaza Strip after Hamas violated the ceasefire this morning by refusing to hand over the list of names of Israeli hostages that were supposed to be released back to their loved ones today in exchange for some 30 Palestinian prisoners. The first thing the IDF did was responded to missiles that were launched by Hamas towards the civilian communities surrounding the Gaza Strip by targeting and striking the origins from which these missiles were launched. In addition, the IDF is mobilizing large amounts of tanks, D9s, other engineering vehicles, and the infantry units into the Gaza Strip as part of its preparations to carry out an offensive against southern Gaza. The IDF was investing a lot of resources in order to communicate to the civilians inside Gaza that the IDF is preparing an attack against specific locations inside the Gaza Strip, urging them to move to safe areas in order to prevent civilian harm in this attack against a terror organization. This is very complicated, as the Palestinian enclave includes close to 2 million Palestinian civilians. The IDF is investing a lot of efforts and time in order to inform these civilians about the locations that the IDF is targeting as part of its operations to destroy Hamas, so that they can evacuate and move to a safe haven. The IDF is doing that by calling them personally and by throwing flyers to the air above the Gaza Strip. Hamas, on the other hand, is doing the opposite. It is encouraging the Palestinian civilian population to return to their homes so that they will be used as human shields when the IDF will invade Hamas territory.
Ford, I mean, when's enough?
Look, I'm surprised that the ceasefire lasted this long, and here's why I say that. Hamas does not negotiate in good faith. Hamas does not value human life, whether it's Palestinian life or Israeli life, or even, heck, American life. They are a terrorist organization. But I think what's most interesting in that report here is that despite all the media coverage, what you see is Israel is observing the laws of war while Hamas is not observing the laws of war, trying to get Palestinians killed and using them as human shields to push propaganda. And let's remember something else, something we hear in America, because in America, you hear a lot of Democrats say they should have a ceasefire. Let me tell you what that means. There's no such thing as a ceasefire. It's a way to say something that sounds humanitarian while saying that you support Hamas. What scares me here is Joe Biden has gone wobbly on Israel, who, by the way, is America's best ally when it comes to intelligence and defense, not just in the Middle East, in the entire world. And you know why Joe Biden's going wobbly on Israel is because when you look at the latest Gallup poll, only 36% of Democrats support what Israel is doing in Palestine. And I'm going to tell you, the longer this goes on, you're going to start to see the Biden administration start to try to hamstring the Israelis as they try to eradicate Hamas. Remember, Hamas does not want a two-state solution. They say so.
Well, and here's the thing. The American people need to wake up to what is already happening. We already have these terrorist cells inside America. We are only just one blink of an eye away from another terrorist attack on American soil because of our porous borders and because of Joe Biden's policies and the fact that Mayorkas just don't care.
I will tell you that honestly, and I hope I'm wrong, I do not want to be right. I will tell you we are at one of the worst security problems in our country since 9/11. Tom Homan, former ICE director, has made this point. I am telling you, we have been very, very privileged for the last 25 years. And I'm going to tell you, I'm very, very concerned that the American public is not going to wake up. The American public needs to wake up before Americans die.
And you can mark my words, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Hopefully it's not no time soon, but I guarantee it's going to be a lot sooner than people expect. Look at the Rainbow Bridge deal.
Look, I totally agree with you. And, what's crazy is, a lot of Americans watch what's going on, on TV with Israel and Hamas and Palestine, and they say, well, they'll just live peacefully. They don't realize that the whole goal of Hamas and Hezbollah is after they wipe out Israel, they basically will tell you America's next. That's what's so amazing here. And our people just walk around like idiots. It's really sad. We are so privileged to live in this country, and we have a certain set of people that just want to give it away.
Well, it's just unbelievable to me. Well, everybody knows what time it is. It's
Man's trash.
time for us to discuss the man's trash. And this week there's a lot of trash, but I want to say Cecil Pendergrass, seemingly understanding the absurdity of some of Mike Giallombardo's brought forward, has stood up, and I have to applaud Cecil for his stance on trying to circumvent the home charter. I've got a few clips. I want to play one and let you see this.
We have to do such a short inconvenience meeting like this, but I think it's really important and so critical to Lee County's future. Recently, the state has obviously, we love working with the state delegation in our state of Florida. We're great partners. But recently, they brought some bills forward that was brought forward by one person, and that introduces it changes the Lee County government structure of Lee County government. And I think that's really important that we've heard from a lot of residents, taxpayers, and voters. I think it's really important that we take a stance on these issues. And the latest stance, we took one October 24th related to changing the county administration code, which related to the county manager position as a mayor. And now this new one, it changes the structure of the Board of County Commissioners to single-member districts, which, in my view, it restricts voting people's rights to vote and also increases the size of government. Both those bills measured together with the analysis from our staff cost over $3 million a year to facilitate those services throughout the year. I'm concerned about the cost of that and the structure of that. So I'd like to make a motion to oppose the new local bill that expands county government, adding 2 new seats to the Board of County Commissioners and limits voters' participation. This to include that this office was brought up during the Charter Review Commission in 2014 and 2022, and it failed to vote the last time around. And both bills cost over $3 million. And the motion will also include reaffirming our vote on October 24th as far as the county manager position. That's the motion.
I'll second.
John Albion. I'm here representing myself, but candidly, I'm also here a little bit to represent, I think, a little bit of history on this board. I'm not sure why this is even coming up right now, to be honest with you. And the reason why is because in 1996, the citizens of Lee County decided by a referendum to have a charter form of government. We are asking, essentially, the state delegation to pass a law, I suppose, that says that there can be a vote to ask citizens their opinion on a change of form of government that, in my opinion, directly violates a decision made in 1996 that says exactly how this process is supposed to work. There's a provision in the Home Rule Charter. It's 9 pages long, granted no pictures, but not a long read, to understand that in Article 4, if citizens are not satisfied with the Charter Review Commission or the County Commission's decision to not go forward with something they want, that by the Home Rule Charter, there's a petition process. That petition process is specifically in there so that if they feel locked out, there's an ability, you do have to get 7% based upon the number that voted in the prior election of signatures to be able to get it on the ballot. If you get that 7%, there's nobody that can stop you except a judge if they feel that what is being presented is not adequate to be on the ballot. So I don't know why we're here. This is asking the state delegation, who's part of 160 members, between 120 in the State House and 40, I believe, in the State Senate, of which 66 out of 67 of those counties do not have a stake in this, to make a decision as to whether citizens should be given the right when there's already a process in place that's supposed to be used. This is a dangerous slope, people, because if the delegation is going to start allowing people to circumvent a process that was duly elected by referendum by the citizens of Lee County, then where does that go and where does that stop? And why do we have a home rule charter? So therefore, I'm not saying I'm for, I have concerns about an elected county manager or an elected county attorney, but candidly, I'm willing to be open-minded about the other. But the reality is, I will not support violating a home rule charter because asking people for a vote for what they want by violating a vote for what they actually ask to be done. So therefore, I think on those grounds alone, the state delegation, frankly, needs to keep their nose out of it. And I think that the county should stand up for their home rule right, which is no different than a city having their own charter, which is what they are governed by. The same should be for Lee County. This is the legal way to do it.
So look, John Albion, he makes more sense than anybody up there.
Well, look, good. Two things. Good for John Albion for actually explaining something that I will say otherwise the cabal tries to clutter up and confuse people with. The other thing is good for Cecil for actually standing up for the locality. The fact that the state delegation wants to pass this makes you wonder if the state delegation is actually trying to represent Lee County. This is unbelievable how they are trying to backdoor the home rule charter about stuff that was decided in 1996, and instead of going through the process and instead of allowing democracy to work, what do they want to do? They want to backdoor it from Tallahassee. Now, do you think that that is the best way for Lee County to move forward based on the whims of people in Tallahassee? I don't think so.
Well, now, Commissioner Hammond, who would be in line to the throne, clearly, as we would know, didn't seem fond of Cecil's motion. I want to play the last little clip of what I had at that meeting.
I am concerned about those 1920s era progressive policies that still, that still rule the structure of our government today. The other thing that I really agreed with that was said today were the comments, though, about the thoughts of the electorate do change over time. And in 1996, the charter was created this way. But since 1996, I do think that the thoughts of the electorate have changed. And I do think that if either the single-member districts or the elected mayor make it to the ballot someday, I think they'll pass. I think they'll pass with a majority of the vote. And I don't know when we'll ever get to have a chance to have that conversation, but I think the charter contemplated that the electorate would change its mind. That's why they created the 3 ways to amend it, either through the commissioners, through the Charter Review Committee, or through the petition process. And I think that was, I said this at the last meeting, I think that is the right way to do this. I don't like that it is being brought forward by the state. I wish it was a conversation that we could have just had as a board, that we could have just talked about it and had a great conversation about whether this is a good idea to bring to the voters or not.
I would like to have a say in other districts, and I certainly would like these commissioners to have a say in my district. I think having a person, a single district person as a commissioner could end up exactly with one of the comments made earlier, that the fact that I won't touch your area if you don't touch mine. And I think it could really cause power plays going on in our government in Lee County. It just makes no sense to me. Resolution by Commissioner, a motion by Commissioner Pendergrass, and we have a second by Commissioner Sandelli. Do we have any objections?
I object.
I object. Okay. We have 2 objections. It's 3-2. Commissioner, I approve. We have Commissioner Hammond and Commissioner Rerain that are opposed. At this point, it passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Look, look, I know I'm hard on Greenwell, but Greenwell done the right thing this time.
I agree with you, and you don't see that every day where the 5 county amigos actually have to now break up. Usually it's 5-0. I mean, that's what's so amazing here. That's how you know that this is not good for Lee County, is when you have 3 people break away from the clique and basically tell you this is a bad idea. And, you know, it's funny that I say this. You know, I don't know if he still has the affiliation, but, you know, with Hammond, and I'm not pointing fingers at him, but remember, Hammond has deep ties to the Chamber of Commerce. You want to know who wants to get rid of that home rule? It's the Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you something. The Chamber of Commerce went after Donald Trump. The Chamber of Commerce, the local one, the state one, went after me because I pointed out the same thing. And what I said is this really best for Lee County? Is this really best for Florida citizens? Is this really best for Florida workers? I don't think so. And that is why, you know, people hear the word business, and we are capitalists in Southwest Florida, but be very, very careful of when you hear things that sound too good to be true. And this is one of those cases when they say, well, then single member districts, because at first that sounds like, hey, a great idea. I will take care of my own area. The problem is we all need to have skin in the game, and that is why we have it such that it is not single districts.
And the thing that I don't think a lot of these people understand, like I've seen a lot of people from like Dunbar areas that were pushing for this single member district. Do they not understand if they're not voted by county-wide, that those districts with the bigger population and the more economic value, they're not going to help Dunbar?
Well, that's exactly right. You're talking about district. You're talking about Greenwell's district, and the point is, and that's what Greenwell is trying to say out loud. If I only represent you and we have no skin, we're going to have even less resources than we already do.
So it's a fact. So then they had to have this special legislative meeting the next morning at 7 a.m., believing in a low turnout, and you know, Hammond even kind of indicated, like, we'll see how many people turn out for Cecil. It was standing room only, Ford. Standing room only. And the thing that embarrassed me is Mike Giallombardo tried to make Cecil look bad. It backfired. I do have a clip of that I'd like to play.
Good morning, a beautiful day here in Southwest Florida. Yeah, I said, thank you for everything you've done with the state, for us locally in Lee County last year. Today is the end of hurricane season. As we celebrate that, we all need to continue working together. So I just want to make sure that I understand. Me personally, I want voters to have a chance to vote on something. I personally like the process we have now with the Charter Review Commission. There's 3 processes to get to where you want to get to on this issue. That is a referendum through the Board of County Commissioners to put on the ballot. The Charter Review Commission, which is still in session until March 26th of next year, can do it, or a group can do petitions to get on the ballot. So I'm asking you to do right now, as far as this, table this down. We'll have discussions throughout the year about this and see where we go. We have a lot of work to do for the community, and we're forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh,
Okay, I'm gonna ask a couple of quick questions.
Now watch what he does right
Can
here.
you kind of describe how our charter is set up? How many are appointed per member?
great.
Do they have to live in the district? Do any of them not live in the district that you represent? Kind of give us that makeup if you can.
So first of all, you mentioned that the county commissioners have a district. We don't have to live in the district based upon election reasons. Based upon our county charter, our responsibility is for the whole county. We don't have to live in the district identifications for our districts for elections, make sure we all live in the same district. The Charter Review Commission is made up of 3 appointees per commissioner. So there's 15 people from the community. Many are here today throughout the community. I'm not sure, I don't remember the residency. This is something we do once every 8 years, I believe, or 6 years. I'm not sure if they have to live in that district, but the makeup, the Charter Review Commission is very diverse from the whole community by 15 people.
Do you have anybody that doesn't live in your district on the charter review?
I don't remember exactly where they all live. There's many people in there. I'm not sure exactly. I remember who my appointees were. We appointed them over a year ago. But I'd be happy to get that information to you. And all their information is public record. It's on our website.
Okay. One last question. So the resolution yesterday, was that opposing the bills, or was that which are referendums, or was that opposing the topic?
Opposing the bill based upon the structure of that and the electoral county mayor with a $3 million impact to the Lee County. I think that money each year, $3 million a year impact. And also my concern about the single districts was that it reduces voter limitations. So when people vote for all 5 commissioners or 7, you can only vote for 2 at any given time. That was my concern about voter suppression on that. So that's my concern about that.
So
and the $3 million impact every year.
So you don't want the people to decide how their government is structured?
Well, they did that in 1996 on our current charter form of government. This was brought forward, I believe, because Matt Caldwell provided the bill information for you, and that's why we're here today to have this discussion. And I get that. Me and Matt's been talking about this since 2005.
This has actually been going on for a long time. So I'm just trying to get down to that, because you said that voter suppression, and what you did essentially is say that you don't want the people of Lee County to have an opportunity to vote on these issues yesterday.
Not at all. We have the opportunity.
That was the resolution.
No, the opportunity is through the Charter Review Commission. We have public meetings monthly, and anybody can come speak on any subject, including this subject. So we have open doors to everybody. We have Charter Review Commission meetings monthly, and the public is welcome to speak on this issue. That's why I was asking if we could continue going through that process. So it's made and based upon the current charter home rule that the form of government, the way we have now, is part of the process is people come and give them that information to the Charter Review Commission.
So what's the Charter Review's intent? What is their intent? Because to my knowledge, it's an independent review of our charter. Would that be accurate?
Make any changes within the county or the charter of the county based upon that.
Okay, so it's an independent review of the
from public input.
From public input.
Yes.
So I've had actually some charter folks tell me that there's some initiatives, or they've been even questioned on what do you support, what you don't support by the commission. Is that would you consider that an independent review if the commissioners are weighing in on that?
I think we all do that. I think Commissioner Hammond and myself and all the other commissioners all have done that. We vetted the people before we appointed them where they stand in positions. For example, in the past, we all knew Commissioner Mann had more of a Democrat process, so he wanted single member districts to help Democrats get elected, and we understood that other people had it for other reasons.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So you have the charter review. You guys are allowed to essentially lobby the charter on any of these issues that are important to you. And was that correct?
No, I don't lobby anybody. I just know personally if I know them, if they volunteer. A lot of times people volunteer, I don't even really know them. And we just point them to the board because it's hard to get volunteers sometimes to do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Senator Martin.
Hey, Commissioner Pendergrass.
Thank you.
Good morning. How are you? Has the Charter Review Commission recommended any cost-saving measures to go onto the referendum ballot?
Not that I know
of. If you're talking about the cost of increasing the amount of expenditures to take care of a new elected official in the county. You said it was $3 million.
Well, that number came up this week after these bills came out. I asked for an assessment of what it would cost based upon both bills with the new county mayor and the staff. Pension cost, total cost to the county yearly, it was around $3 million a year.
And is that based on the current level of salary for the current county commission?
Yes, and it's also based upon the staffing and also workers' comp, healthcare costs, pension costs, and also it really actually kind of relaxed based upon the county attorney, because the way the one bill is written, the county attorney would work for the county mayor. The board of county commissioners would have to retain counsel. We're not really sure how many that would be.
Would it help reduce cost if the county commission was paid the same amount of money as the state legislators at about $29,600 a year?
That's fine with me, but the problem, the state sets that wages, so that would be up to you.
Well, look, clearly, Giallombardo is become such an egotistical little turd that he thinks that he can push these goofy bills. He wants to let nurses be anesthesiologists without proper training. He's pushing craziness through and thank God Cecil's standing up to him.
I want to be clear about what Cecil was going that back and forth, because it might have been a little bit grainy for some people. Now, remember, we have our state delegation is basically telling us that we shouldn't have local rule. We should weaken local rule. And by the way, Lee County taxpayers should pay more money for more government. I mean, I thought these were supposed to be Republicans. I mean, our state delegation is acting like Democrats and then trying to screw over the residents of Lee County. It is absolutely astounding.
Well, there was a lot more to that meeting. I really briefed it down. I just wanted you just want people to see what you've actually got in Mike Giallombardo. You have somebody that is trying everything he can to appease his master, and his master is TM Strategies.
Well, there's also TM Strategies, but there's also another group that's funding many of our state legislators in Lee County. That's the Chamber of Commerce. That comes up with Tiffany Esposito.
Yeah.
Brian Hammond, too, and Tiffany Esposito. I promise you, if this comes up, she'd vote for it. And that's exactly against the interests of not only Lee County, but Southwest Florida. And then, there's questions of who is Tiffany actually representing? Is she representing Southwest Florida? Apparently not. She's representing the lobbying interest of Tallahassee, and people should be made aware of that.
I agree. Well, we're going to move over to Lee County School Board members attended the FSBA Conference in Tampa this past week. Now, and I want to ask your opinion, this seems very questionable to me, but Sam Fisher and Armored Persons was seen having dinner Thursday evening with one of Florida's most notorious education lobbyists, Ralph Arza. And Arza happens to be very familiar with Terry Miller. Arza used one of his PACs and his relationships with the governor to get the three amigo elected: Persons, Langford, Fleming, Fisher, but not Severson. I wonder why Severson didn't get any of that PAC money that the governor, with the governor's endorsement. Go ahead. Does it not seem a little strange that they are sitting down with Ezra?
It seems very strange. Again, I don't know a lot about that relationship. I just know that, Arza at one point was in the State House and basically had to resign because he was being charged with 2 felonies in connection with leaving obscenity-filled messages and a racial slur on a colleague's voicemail. Now, beyond that, that just raises alarm bells. I don't know anything beyond that other than words that you hear on the street.
Well, now, why would Sam and Armour have dinner with such a character? Could it be because they owe Arza? And Arza is lobbying for a particular construction company to be secured a bid worth more than $100 million, which would be the Hector Caffaretta School in the Cape?
Well, here we go again with the Lee County quid pro quo. I mean, we don't know that, but it seems the dots, if you put them together, it seems to indicate what you're saying.
But that bid was awarded in September to the wrong company, according to Arza, and somehow or another the contract was rejected by the superintendent and board in November with no real explanation. So we'll be going out to bid again so that the company Arza represents can get to be elected. Seems awful fishy to me.
Again, these are allegations. We're not saying they're facts, but when you connect the dots, it seems, as you point, very fishy.
Well, on my last story, I've been real reluctant to report anything to do with the situation that's going on in Cape Coral with Patty Cummins and things like that, because there's more to that story. And I'm going to say this. Jennifer Nelson stated to reporters that she was the only lawful candidate in her race, and election integrity is a very important issue facing our city. Many of our residents lost trust in our election leaders. My hope would be to help restore their faith. She's going to try to get the seat that she lost to Patty Cummins. Yet, in August of 2022, during the Cape Coral Republican meeting, she publicly stated that her opponent, Ms. Cummins, was not a resident of her district. Nelson also informed Terry Miller. He told her not to worry about it. She also refused to participate in the first investigation with Vicky Sproat, where the Cape Coral paid close to $30,000 for an investigation. One would think if she had any real concern for election integrity, she would have cooperated in the first investigation, where she didn't. When the Mira Fox office gets involved, she then again attempted not to participate and was told she would be subpoenaed. Nelson told several people that she had submitted to the investigator and Mira Fox that she had prior knowledge on Patty Cummins, and I just checked, and she didn't report it. She was waiting for someone else to do it. So does this really sound like someone who believes in election integrity, Ford?
No, it sounds like someone who actually believes in doing what is best for them to achieve power.
Look, she has the audacity to want to be placed back on the board. She doesn't deserve to be placed on that board. It would seem to me she is also as criminal by failing to protect her own constituents and reporting it. And that's the way I feel about Jennifer Nelson.
Well, that was my point. This is someone who only wants to do something when it benefits them for power. Remember, when you talk about election integrity, you talk about doing the right thing. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Apparently just not in Lee County.
Well, Ford, I appreciate you joining me to do the show today. There's a lot, and we got a lot more that me and you've talked about off the record. I'm going to research a little harder, and hopefully we can come back on. But I do, again, Ford, I thank you for your knowledge in helping us to let the average person understand what's really going on here with this establishment.
As always, my friend.
Ford, have a good day. Folks, we love you, Florida. Love, peace, and gator grease. We'll see you next time. I'm Smoking Joe with Ford O'Connell.